Aston Martin were one of Formula One's biggest success stories last year, but this season they need to prove that it wasn't just a fluke. With a reinvigorated Fernando Alonso being eyed up by teams across the grid and a Lance Stroll under pressure to step up, the team could be torn apart this season. Alonso is already piling the pressure onto his team, warning them that things have to change. Today I'm going to check out the warning that Alonso has given his team, so don't go anywhere. Aston Martin were the absolute surprise package of last season. Alonso's blistering start to 2023 meant he found himself as Red Bull's closest competitor. Considering Aston Martin finished 7th in the Constructors' Championship the year before, with Sebastian Vettel driving for them, it was honestly unbelievable. The excitement surrounding the team at the time was unlike anything I've seen in Formula One for a long while. Things went wrong throughout the season though, and despite a late resurgence, it quickly became clear that while they'd got their winter development right, their in-season work needed some improving. After their success last year, the expectations for this season were sky high, but repeating that kind of success isn't easy, especially for a team that isn't used to doing it. Unsurprisingly, the team has struggled to find themselves as Red Bull's closest competitor for a second season running. Alonso finished on the podium in his first appearance for Aston Martin a year ago and took 5 more over the next 7 races. This year, the same is not going to happen though. The Spaniard ended the first day of practice for the new season in 3rd place behind the 2 Mercedes drivers, but Alonso says that flatters the car's performance. While Lewis Hamilton set the fastest time of the day, Alonso was just 0.2 away in P3 and only 0.08 of a second back from George Russell in P2. The 2-time world champion also finished the opening practice hour in 5th position. Asked after FP2 how things had felt in the more representative conditions of the evening, Alonso responded, "It felt okay, obviously we don't know what the others are doing, we just complete our program. We know the tyres quite well from the test, so we sacrifice FP1 a little bit using the mediums. We concentrated even more on the performance. With 2 softs now in FP2, we learn a little bit from the car, a few setup changes that we're happy with the result." While the results from FP2 have got some fans excited, they always need to be taken with a pinch of salt. Lando Norris setting a best time that was 2.5 seconds slower than the fastest time is not representative. McLaren might have been that bad in Bahrain last year, but they aren't this year. And while I would love for Haas to not be the whipping boys of F1 for another season, Hülkenberg splitting the Red Bulls is not going to happen on race day. As the seasoned veteran he is, Alonso is very aware that everything could still change. In terms of where in the battle the squad could find themselves this weekend, Alonso said that it was currently difficult to read. "Definitely, I'm a little bit surprised that we're a little bit high on the times, but this can change dramatically if the fuel loads are different to everyone else," the 42-year-old commented. "I remain calm. I'm happy with the setup changes we did today. I think we still need to find more performance. 12 months ago, I would say we were in a stronger position here in Bahrain. Let's see. I'm happy. I'm going into the first qualifying of the season positive, thinking on a very long season, so we need to start on the right foot for sure. It's not only Bahrain, we need to look forward also for the next coming event." The fact of the matter is that Aston Martin are not in as good a position as they were 12 months ago, and that is a problem. In F1, you always want to be moving forward, especially when you have a demanding driver like Alonso in your garage. While he might be keeping things level-headed in public, he'll be pushing the team for more behind the scenes, and if they can't deliver, there will be consequences. Delivering on his demands is even more important this year, with his contract expiring at the end of the season, but I'll come back to that in a minute. First, let's talk about the sometimes forgotten second driver at Aston Martin, Lance Stroll. The Canadian son of team owner Lance Stroll will always have his place in the sport questioned while he drives for his father's team. There isn't any escape in that, but he clearly is a skilled driver, and keeping pace with Alonso in 2024 will finally prove him worthy of a seat at a top team, which Aston Martin are threatening to become. However, his first session of the season did not get off to a great start, as he was complaining that his Aston Martin was really difficult to drive. The 25-year-old ended up finishing 14th in FP1, although it's hard to read too much into the time set. Remember that Daniel Ricciardo, fresh from being tipped for a couple of podiums this year, was fastest during the season's opening session. Talking on the radio to his team, Stroll said, "The car is super snappy in turns 1 and 2. Oh my god, it's horrendous." On commentary, Hill explained, "I don't think he's alone. It seems to me that this wind is upsetting everybody's cars, and I think they're getting caught up with the change of aero as they go around the corner. I'm sure the engineers will be saying that." The grandstands protect you, and then suddenly you get exposed against the crosswind. It's not consistent. It's a sign that their aero is not robust. The way they manage the airflow across is not robust enough to protect the downforce and the vacuum under the car. There was a comment from Charles Leclerc during practice that puts aero robustness into context. The Ferrari driver said that the Red Bull car was so good because it seemed to be completely unaffected by the wind changing during preseason practice. The RB20 had the tolerance to deal with the changes in conditions, and if the AMR24 doesn't, then that's something that needs fixing. So what about Alonso and the future of his career? At Aston Martin, he has really been reinvigorated. He looks happy, he looks hungry, he looks like the driver he was back at Renault many years ago. To be fair, if I'd escaped the Alpine team before their implosion last year, I'd be loving life as well. However, if Aston Martin cannot provide him with the car that he wants, then there will be plenty of other suitors for his services. They aren't going to let him be poached by the likes of Red Bull or Mercedes without a fight though. Aston Martin team principal Mike Crack said the Silverstone outfit wants to be in pole position to secure the future of Fernando Alonso should he wish to keep racing. Alonso has never been too far away from the driver market talk, but following Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari, the Spaniard is again thought to be a hot prospect for the vacant Mercedes seat. The two-time world champion's current deal with Aston Martin expires at the end of this season, but Crack believes they stand a good chance of retaining him. As a fan, I think the move from Lewis is already something that we will all be quite excited about, the Aston Martin team principal told Sky Sports F1. Because it means a big change for a very strong driver. So that obviously was a talk weeks ago. And now the other questions are coming. What is clear is, I think Fernando in the first place, he needs to decide if he wants to continue or not. I think he made that very clear, and then if he does, I hope we're in pole position. We will try to keep having him, and discussions have then to happen. But I think first of all, he needs to be sure of what he wants to do. As Crack says, before the team can even begin their fight to retain the Spaniard's services, he needs to decide if he wants to continue driving. Clearly, Alonso is still physically and mentally capable of competing with the best in F1, but does he want to? Alonso has hinted he could race until he is 50, but he accepts the demands of a record-breaking F1 schedule of 24 races could change his mind. Ahead of the season opening race in Bahrain this weekend, Alonso was asked if he would be interested in driving for Mercedes and replied, "I need to decide if I'm still racing. That's the first thing. I feel great now, but it's a demanding calendar, and in 2026 there are a different set of regulations as well. Let's see, I'll have to wait a few races to decide. I want to get everything he can out of Aston Martin if he is going to stay on beyond 2024, but he'll also want to encourage other teams to make offers to him. If he can get a seat at Red Bull, or if he thinks that Mercedes might be able to offer him a competitive car, he won't want to discourage them from speaking to him." By not committing to anything yet, Fernando is warning Aston Martin that if they don't make a good offer, he'll make his money elsewhere. Do you think Aston Martin can repeat their overall performance of 2023 this year? And will Alonso decide to stick around, or will he decide he's better off elsewhere? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.